Alright, so in this tutorial I'm gonna explain what resources are and how to use them in Godot 4. Let's begin by first explaining what we have here. This is the main scene. It has a script attached to it. What is the point of this script? This script is the whole logic of the application. It has a save data function and a load data function. It also has a few variables that I'm going to explain what they're used for. We also have the resource that we want to save. This is the data that we want to save. We have a damage and a type of weapon, right? So we're basically saving weapons with damage and type. We can save crossbows or axes or whatever we think of. It doesn't matter. And yeah, so how does everything work? First of all, when we run the application, the first thing that's gonna run is the save data function. All right. So what does the save data function do? We create a weapon resource with the new keyword, and we set the damage equal to 5 and the type equal to sword. Now we want to save this data to a particular path. And so how do we do that? Well, we use the ResourceSaver class that comes from Godot. It has the save method. Now, what does the save method do? Well, when we look at the documentation, we can see that it takes a resource of any kind. It just needs to extend the resource and a path where the resource should be saved. All right, so it saves a resource to a given path. That's all it does. All right, and it may return an error if it fails. Now then, let's see. We save it to we save what do we save? We save the weapon, right? The weapon resource that we just created. Where do we save it? In the save path. Now, what is the save path? Let's see here. What do we have? Now then, we first have a directory, right? That directory, how do we get it? Why? What is all of this over here? Why am I using os.getUserData there? What does this do? Let's see the documentation. On Windows, the directory that we get from this function is this. On Mac OS is this. On Linux is this. It basically gets the user data directory, right? It's nothing complex. It's just a directory where we're gonna be saving all the data, all the save files or whatever else we have. Now then, to this directory, we append a brand new one, right? So in this directory, we need to have another directory called saved games, okay? And in that directory, we append a backslash plus the save file name, all right? So we have the directory plus what the save file is called plus the extension. Now then, let's see when we run the application what is gonna happen. Right, we get this loaded. Do we have anything printed? No. Okay. How do we access the directory where the save file has been generated? We go to project, open user data folder, right? So this basically will open this over here, okay? So we go open user data folder, and now we have this folder over here. Now let me clarify here. We may append this over here, but that doesn't create that folder, okay? I've created it before I started the tutorial. So if I delete this and I try to run it again, I'm gonna get an error. Why? Why am I getting this error? Well, because this directory over here does not exist, right? So what you should do is make sure to create it first, okay? Whether it's in script or using or doing it like that, basically. So creating a new folder, save games, okay? And in this, you can see it's an empty folder. So we run it again. And what do we have here? a save file with the file extension .trace. Now then, what is the difference between a file extension .tres and a file extension .res? You can save files in both of them. Okay, so first of all, let's look at this one. Let's open it. And you can see that the data that we've written to this resource has been saved. Okay, we have weapon damage. Alright, damage equals 5, and the type is equal to sort. Right, so it's successful. We've saved data to a file. Now then, what happens if we change this thing, the file extension of the file, to .res? What's gonna happen? Let's save. Let's run it again. Right. Let's check the folder. Save games. Now, this is the old one. Okay, we are not looking at this. We're gonna delete it. Let's see what this means. We're gonna open it with Notepad++, and you can see that the data is not readable. You can't see what exactly is saved, even though the name over here the name over here explains it. Let's see, where was it? Damage. Yeah, we have damage, and we have some data after that that is not non-humanly readable. You can see damage and some data, and type, some data. All right, so what this basically does, this .res format, is it saves the data in a binary format. So the user won't be able to go in, I mean, not that easily, at least, go in and change the things that you've saved. So if we had .trace, hold on, okay, so if we had .trace when we run the application, okay, so now we run the save data function, it generated a file. We have a save file.trace. So open it, and we can change the values. We can play around with those values and save them. And so next time when you load that data, it's gonna be the changed one. So it's not really recommended to do this. You know, it would be much harder for the average Joe to just to edit a file if it's in binary format. You know, but you can use either one. It doesn't matter. You can even encrypt your files, encrypt them, decrypt them when loading, and stuff like that. But yeah, these are the basics of saving data. Now then, how do we load that data? So we basically changed the data that we had stored over here, right? So damage 565 sorted, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now then we want to load it. Let's load the data by calling the load data function. So we save data by using the ResourceSaver.save. So how do we load data? We use the ResourceLoader.load, which accepts a save path. Now then, the save path should include, again, all of this: the directory, the file name, and the extension of the file. Okay, so wherever we save, we load from the same thing. Okay, this points to the file itself, not just the directory where the file is located, but the file itself. Okay, and then we also print the damage and the type. Let's see what happens when we run this, and we can see in the console it prints out the edited values. 565 is the damage, and the type is, of course, sort of blah, whatever we wrote there. Right, so these are the very basics. So issues you may run into. First of all, the first issue would be, again, you want to save data, but you haven't created the directory. So make sure it exists first, and if it doesn't, create it before saving data. All right. What other issue you may run into? This may throw an error, right? So you need a way of handling that error. Well, the difference between the save method and the load method over here is that the save method returns an error. All right, so you can check if this error is equal to if it doesn't equal okay, then that means that the loading that the saving failed, and you can print out a message or something else. So what you will do is save the result of this over here, okay, and check if the result does not equal okay, and you can see it's on this is the way you type it. Okay, it's like an enumeration, yeah, error. If it doesn't equal okay, then that means that an error happened, correct? So you can print out a message or stop the execution of the rest of the things, and yeah, that's how you handle it. But when you're loading, it's a little bit different. I don't know why they made it like this, but the save method returns an error, which could be okay or something else. But the load method returns a resource. Okay, so it does not return an error. So the way it works is if it fails, if it couldn't be loaded, you're gonna get a resource of type null. So loaded will be equal to null. So before you try printing out values or working with them, you need to check if loaded doesn't equal null, or if it equals null, handle the error somehow, stop the execution of the function or whatever you're doing. So yeah, it doesn't return an error like the same method, it returns a resource. Okay, that's the difference. So here it returns error, and over here it returns a resource. And again, yeah, that's about it. So other things, when loading data, make sure the type of the data you're loading is the correct one. Okay, and it's not something else. So we're trying to load a weapon. We save the weapon, type weapon, and we're trying to load weapon. You can also do this. It's a resource. The weapon is a resource, so this will work on any resource, no matter which one. You can also choose not to use type hinting. It's not mandatory. But yeah, I don't know why in Godot 4 you say you're using weapon, but it doesn't help you. It doesn't preview the thing that you want. It's a little bit weird. I don't know why. They should fix it. Anyways, let's return the print statements. Okay, so other issues. First of all, you need to know how to create your own resource. The first thing you need to know is always use the export keyword on variables that you want to save. If I didn't use the export keywords, okay, and we went into the weapon manager, okay, we're saving in .trace, so we can see what's gonna happen. Let's run. Okay, what do we have here? Oh, we are loading data. Let's run the save data function. It's telling me that the result is not used. Okay. Well, yeah, we're not gonna use it. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, so this should override the file with the new data that we've saved, right? We haven't changed our code, we haven't changed anything. So if we go to the user data folder, save games, save file, and we see, okay, wait a second, let's delete the old one. Okay, let's run again. We're gonna see what I'm talking about. Let's go to the directory, open it, and we can see that the data has been deleted. We're not saving it. Okay, we're not overriding the file. Why is that? Again, it is we don't have the damage equals to something something and type equals to something something. So we're not saving anything, and this will break your application. So always, and I mean always, include the export keyword. So let's now include the export keyword here. Let's delete the old file so we don't get confused again. Okay, let's run the application. Now, only because we use the export keyword only on damage, this is the only thing that will be saved, right? So if we go here, we open this. What? Here we go. The damage is equal to 5. Okay, this is the only thing that has been saved. So the type has not been saved. Why? Because we didn't include the export keyword. Now both will be saved. Okay, so this is the basics on creating resources, loading them, and saving them. Now you may ask, can I store a resource inside another resource? Now this is pretty interesting. So okay, the weapon has a damage, but it's some sort of damage type. All right, so we're creating a damage type. We have a class name, damage type, and again we have damage, export var damage. We have some sort of damage bonus percentage. We have more bonus, or well, whatever. So when creating resources, you need to always specify the type of the variables. Okay, so the damage will be integer or float or whatever. The percentage will be float, of course. More bonus, let's remove that. Okay, I don't need it. Okay, so now everything works. Let's go back to weapon, and let's add the damage type. Again, we need to specify the type, so we're trying to save a damage type inside our weapon. Now, what did we save previously? We need to use the export keyword. Okay, so export var damage type. Now we're gonna be saving the damage type. So let's go back to weapon manager, saving data. Here we have a weapon. Let's create a damage type. Damage type of type damage type is equal to damage type dot new damage type dot damage equals 50 damage type dot damage bonus percentage equals 20 or whatever, 0.2. We're saving a lot. So and now let's not forget of setting the weapon's damage type to be equal to this new damage type that we just created. Okay, we're saving this inside of this. Okay, so we are saving it to the save path. Okay, let's close this so we don't get confused. Let's go here. Let's open it again, and we can see that we have new data stored. We can see a sub resource of type resource. Damage 50, damage bonus percentage equals 0.2. So we just saved this whole thing. We have a resource inside of a resource, and it works. Now, again, remember, when we are putting resources inside other resource, the thing that I said about the export keyword, you should do it in the sub resource as well. So if the damage type doesn't have the export keywords, again, it will not save it. It will be empty. So always include the export keyword, no matter what. So this is basically the everything you need to know. Nothing advanced.